What's up, guys? Coach Nate here, talking about how to do push-ups, how they are important for improving your run form and your run speed, what can happen when you don't do your push-ups correctly, the common mistakes that occur, as well as some programming notes so that you can fit these into your strength training and your run season. Let's do it. Look, guys, let's not beat around the bush. To be that healthy, sustained, strong runner who's capable of looking as good in the last mile as they do in the first one, we need to be strong. We need to have really excellent posture, core strength. We need to be able to carry ourselves upright with a nice, beautiful arm swing. And the push-up is one of the great effective tools for training that. It's also so great because it doesn't require any equipment. It can be done by anyone, anywhere. And it doesn't matter if you're an absolute brand new runner or you are an Olympian. I've worked with both. This push-up can make a huge difference in your training. So we're just gonna get started with the top position. I'm gonna go here just in a high plank, but I wanna go beyond just this plank from an aligned position, because a lot of times when we are in a nice straight position, we're not talking about the amount of tension that we need in our body. So when we think about tension in our body, we're thinking about tightening up these abs a little bit, but what's happening with the legs as well? I wanna make sure your butt is squeezed really tight, your quads are flexed, your hamstrings are turned on. And what this does, when my belly and butt is squeezed super tight, it locks my pelvis in, which basically provides this nice cornerstone for my spine, so I don't see any bending and moving around. If I'm doing push-ups where I'm bending and moving around a lot, that's gonna translate to some ugly running. So I'm on here, that is step number one. Can I squeeze my butt? Can I flex my quads? The second thing we need to really focus on here is going to be our shoulder position. Now notice my shoulders can go a few different ways. They can collapse this way. They can also collapse and roll out this way. And the things that I wanna avoid is both. So what it looks like here, if I kind of collapse through my shoulders, I start to sink through. I wanna press away like this. And then I wanna make sure that I'm screwing my hands into the ground. What that does, it adds a little bit of external rotation at the shoulder, keeps these shoulders down and back. I'm connected with my strong, powerful lats. My shoulders are in a nice, beautiful locked position, which not only makes for a better push-up, but it makes for a better upright position when I'm running, better breathing mechanics, better arm swing. You can see where these things are connected. So belly and butt squeezed tight, quads are flexed, screwing my hands into the ground, pressing away from the ground here. And man, we're just talking about the plank, the top part of the position. And this is gonna be that top part right there. Next clip, I'm gonna get into how we start to initiate this movement on the way down and what the bottom position should look like too. So now let's address how we actually start to lower ourselves down on the ground. Of course, the push-up means I'm sort of pushing myself up, but a lot of us start at that plank and work on the descent first. And the descent is where a lot of us start to get into a little bit of trouble or veer off the tracks. And usually what I see are hands that are sometimes a little bit too wide, and I see a movement that's really initiated with my elbows. My elbows start to bend first, I drop down, my elbows start to fly out here. And what happens when we start to do that, we're losing position in our shoulders start to round in, and it's just reinforcing movement patterns that don't help us or our running. We start to reinforce this posture, my arm swing starts to swing side to side. It doesn't really help me very much. So instead, what I wanna do is better load my shoulders. And the way I'm gonna better load my shoulders, with everything being tight, belly and butt on, shoulders down and back, hands screwed into the ground, I'm gonna initiate by rocking forward with the shoulder and dropping down. And if I do this well, my elbow is nice and vertical at the bottom. So I'm up tall, I'm gonna rock down, drop down this way. Sometimes if I'm warming up like a class, I'll actually have them practice coming in and out of a downward dog position, because it helps them give a little break in between their push-up, and it just reinforces this forward motion. I'm coming forward, dropping down, pushing back, get a little rest, jog those calves out, come on forward, drop down that way. So that's gonna be that forward position. Now, if I'm doing a good job with my push-ups, and I'm doing a good job with that vertical elbow, I should be able to rotate my wrists around and be able to do a push-up with no matter what position my hand is in. So for example, if I can do push-ups with my hands forward and I'm moving well, I should be able to do them sideways like this, and I should be able to walk them back all the way and do a more planche style push-up where I'm really initiating this. But if I am trying to initiate this with the elbow, I'm gonna find that I can't go down at all. So that's like a little truth checker for you in your push-up. Hey, if I flip my hands and I can't go down at all, chances are you're initiating at the elbow, you're not going forward at the shoulder, as we just discussed. So the number one mistake I see with push-ups is lack of core engagement, and specifically, I'm not engaging those glutes, I'm not flexing those quads through the movement. And what happens is I might start where I look like I'm aligned, but as I start to go, I can start to see some movement where as I go up, the chest comes up first, the hips stay low, and then it comes up this way. The other big mistake is that my back starts to arch and get locked into that overextended position because your body is trying to find some sense of stability. Remember, the reason why we're doing push-ups is not to be good at push-up sakes, but to translate to better running. So if I'm not paying attention to what my glutes and hips are doing, this is not gonna translate to better running form. By me practicing squeezing that butt, flexing those quads and everything here, when I stand up in that upright position, that is going to translate over as well. We're looking at that skill transfer. The second and third mistake, I mostly see people just not going down all the way. It looks like something like this. Every once in a while, I wanna see hips and chest all the way down to the ground. And what this does is it actually helps you reset on the bottom position as well. Because let's say I lost a little bit, I can, think about life, regather myself, get back in that flex, tight, engaged position, and then press on up from here. The other thing I can do is like say, hey, did my elbows slide off, which is probably that third mistake where all of a sudden I drop down, my elbows aren't vertical anymore, they're behind me. I can say, you know what, I need to adjust my hands to get them back where they need to be, and then press up there. So, back position, depth, are my elbows sliding off my hands? Those are the three main mistakes. If you're working on this and still struggling with it, the next clip will talk about some modifications for you to do your push-ups so you can do this a little bit better. So I got one more push-up mistake for you. I forgot it while we were filming today, but as we were uploading, I just remembered, and it is head position. It's so key. When we start going down and we start shortening that depth, what happens is that we effectively think of lowering ourselves down by turtling our head towards the ground, and we start just doing some very funky things with this chin. So I want to keep this chin nice and neutral. A way you can remind yourself of that is take your thumb and your middle finger, put on your collarbone, your index finger points straight up. This is where my head is. So when I'm doing those push-ups, my chin stays nice and neutral and relaxed. Don't be that turtle. So let's go through some push-up modifications. It is one of those movements, if you haven't seen it for a while or you've never really done them, you're not naturally going to be good at this. But the good news is you start to practice, everything looks a little bit sunnier and brighter, and you start to get better. Let's talk about the knee push-up. Now, the knee push-up is a great modification, but I got a little bone to pick with it. And the issue is this. If I stay on my knees the whole time, there's two main problems. One, when I'm up on my knees here, I'm not able to quite easily create tension through this system. So what happens is I get a little wobbly versus when I'm from my toes. So what I'd like to see instead is a descent from the toes where I'm working on that belly tight butt squeeze position where everything's flexed and connected. I'm pressing away from the shoulders. I control crash all the way to the ground nice and smooth. We can all do that for sure. And then with my butt squeezed, I'm going to deliberately drop to my knees, press on up, come back here. So my modification is going to look like this. Down, up this way. If I stay here, sometimes I lose this and I lose the ability to really fall forward with my shoulders. Now, there's two other modifications too. Another one that's going to be decently accessible, for you wherever you are, it would be to elevate your hands, say onto a bench, a box, a couch, or whatever you got, a table, and I could sort of play with the height of this. So from here, I've got a box like this, belly and butt tight. I'm going to initiate, pull myself down, come back up tall. Depending on how easy or hard this is, I could bring my hands up, make it a little easier, or I could go a little bit lower. If you are in a gym and you have access to, say, a pull-up bar and a band, well, we can actually pull a band down, put this on our hips, and all of a sudden our band gives us a little extra bounce in our step, and then I can go ahead and hit my push-ups this way. If I go a little lower underneath the anchor point where I do a thinner band, this is a little little harder. If I walk further away and get more tension on the band, all of a sudden I'm getting a little bit more help. The other bonus with this band is that it applies that pressure right at our hips, right where we really care about your body position, and it helps reinforce that. So let's talk about some programming guidelines for push-ups. In general, I like 2 to 3 days a week where I'm adding push-ups in, and I'm targeting anywhere in the 30 to 50 rep total ballpark. Now, for some of you guys that may raise an eyebrow to, you're like, oh man, I got some work to do. Well, guess what? You do. But remember, we can work on these modified versions. We could break things up into 3 or 4 sets of 8. In the beginning, you might be a little bit more sore, but believe me, you will adapt. And then when you're in season, you'll be able to maintain that strength without getting in the way of your running. Of course, I encourage you guys to explore different push-up variations once we have the basics. I talked mostly about our hands here, but we can go wide, we can go narrow, we can stagger our hands. We could do a single arm push-up, we could do a single leg push-up. We teach those variations in all of our training club programs for our half and our full marathon. And it's a fun way to challenge yourself and to elicit some different types of benefits. But no matter what rep scheme I'm going after or which type of push-up I'm going after, I'm always going after quality. Good depth, everything's engaged, because it's the quality push-up that's gonna translate and reinforce that quality movement, which is then going to help my running. Happy push-ups, guys. We believe all runners deserve to be strong, and we put a lot of care and attention and detail into helping make that so. Just by evidence of this video, you can see we really care about this, and we put the same care and detail into the training club, into all of our running and strength programs in there. You can try it 7 days for free just by going into the link in the description of this video and signing up there. Of course, if you like this video, if this helped you in your running, hit that thumbs up right below the video. That really helps us out a lot. Of course, if you have any comments or questions, video requests, other movements we should zero in on, I love geeking out with you guys, so drop those down below. And of course, subscribe to our channel, guys. We got new videos coming out each and every week. We want you to see those. Nothing like that fresh baked smelled video in the morning. Get in it. I'm gonna keep filming, guys. I'll see you in the next one.